There we go. Can you hear me now? Oh my God. All right, can you hear me now? 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 Can you hear? Can you? Oh, okay, there we go. I forgot to literally click the unmute button. I thought it was my microphone. Oh my gosh, what a tool. After all these weeks of doing this, I still can't even get the microphone on. That is hilarious. What's up, everybody? It's that kind of a Wednesday. It's that kind of a Wednesday, but here we are. I'm going to try and put the microphone back in. I thought it was a microphone that was cutting up. All right. I love you guys, man. Y'all keep a brother honest. I appreciate that so much. Let me see if I can turn my microphone on because it gets a little bit better audio. Check. Can you guys still hear me? Still got me good to go, cat. All right. What's up? We made it. happy Monday. But technology is still getting the best of me, man. How you guys feeling? Man, I am having a day. It is a Wednesday, folks. It is a Wednesday. So here we are, but we're gonna have so much fun today. I have so many conversations, so many things I want to talk to you guys about. But I actually want to get you guys involved. I actually want to make this more of a two-way dialogue and more of a two-way conversation because we keep hearing so many conflicting reports about how people are feeling and how Americans are feeling. But I want to talk to you guys in MuseRoom. I reference you guys often in all my commentary. I reference you guys often on Sway in the Morning. I reference you guys on my show, The Mike News Show. I talk about you guys all the time on ABC News because I've always feel like we always keep talking to like these people. Like, who are these pollsters polling? Who are they talking to? But I love getting insights from you because you guys are my people. You guys are the American public, and I don't think pollsters are asking you guys questions. And so I kind of want to hear from you all today. So I'm gonna do a lot of MuseRoom polls, right? A lot of MuseRoom engagements. I really want to understand, right? And so I can bring this all into my commentary about what you guys are doing. Oh, thank you for the sweater love. I love sweater weather. I am excited. I have a very special place where I brought this sweater from, and I am already excited for next year to go back and get tons of sweaters like just like this. I'm not going to give away. You guys know I gatekeep on certain things, but I gatekeep on my fragrances, and now I gatekeep on my sweaters. It is sweater weather. You guys would never believe how much this sweater costs. Any guesses you guys want to take on how much this sweater costs? Just take a guess. Just throw random numbers out there. I love playing this game. I love playing this game because it is sweater weather. Would love to connect on my book, The 7 Love Languages of Black Men. Oh, okay. People are out here writing books. People are out here writing books. All right, so we got some bidders for $150. We got some bidders for $120. We got some folks saying $78, $65, $79, $120. Okay, it looks like old money, so about $200. Okay, old money. All right, we got $50. We got $200. We got $150. We got $99. Okay, are y'all ready for the reveal, man? Are y'all ready? You're not even gonna be ready for this. You guys ready? This sweater cost me $5.99. $5.99. What? It's my favorite sweater. It is my favorite sweater. Are you kidding me? And it was on sale. On the sale. Do you hear what I'm trying to tell you? It was marked down like crazy percentage. And I just had to get it. That's what I'm saying. You shut up, Mike. No, I'm dead ass. $5.99. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Homies, I'm trying to tell you.
Marcus in the waiting room.
This is why I gatekeep. I'm not letting y'all know where I get my $5.99 sweaters that all y'all can walk around with. $5.99. Are you kidding me? Y'all, you understand? I actually have to catch a flight to go to the store in order to get the That's how committed I am to go and get these sweaters. I have to actually catch a flight. So I'm about to like spend $400 on an airline ticket just to get $5.99 sweaters. But I think it works, right? I'm not delusional. Like, you guys would do that too, right? You guys would like jump on a plane to spend that money, right? Material, couldn't tell you. It's comfortable though. It doesn't itch. It doesn't scratch at all. I think someone said the flight maybe should be added to the price. I know. I guess I should. So maybe if I take a $400 flight and have $5.99, it's $405.99 sweater. But no, it just takes the fun out of it, man. I love finding a deal. I love the idea of like high-low. I love like mix and matching things. I don't think you have to be a big brand name person to look fly. That's never been my thing. It's all about how do you pull things together well and have a few different statement pieces. But okay, don't tell me. Just bring me one back. I will sell you my $6. Nope, I'm not selling. I'm not telling you. Easy when you have extra private jets. I see you, Mike. I mean, you got me right. But I do believe it's like a high-low lifestyle and a high-low kind of perspective, man. But I love when you can find a deal, and I know I found my people because you guys understand it too as well. Arl Edwards. All right, so let's just get into it. Lots of conversation because you guys did not come on here to have me talk about my sweaters for $5.99, man. I am literally about to catch that flight pretty soon, a couple of weeks. And when I do, y'all see me having all these new sweaters on, you already know the cost. And they better not have raised the price. If they raise the price even to like $12.99, I'm not buying it. I digress. All right, so I definitely want to talk to you guys about the federal government and where we are. What's up, Jason? You're never late, brother. Always on time. I want to talk about the shutdown, obviously, and where we are within this big conversation. Should the Dems have caved or should the Democrats have not caved? When will the government be fully open? What will be the ripple effect of airline travel like going forward with it? And I want to just kind of just dive in and get all of your conversations and commentaries and your thoughts on this because there's so much conflicting news that is out there. There's so many conflicting people to go ahead. So I'm going to set up, I think in each different moment, I'm going to ask you guys questions and kind of get your input into this. And this is important, folks, because I think it's for our leaderships to understand. We just have to understand like where people are coming from and what it is they're thinking about. And then also too, I want to talk about gambling. Gambling's going to come up too as well. That's going to be a really big piece of the pie. And how are you guys feeling about gambling? And, right, and it's just like it's a real thing, right? And it's huge, right? And so we kind of have to keep talking about that. Thank you so much, Kat. All right, but first, the federal government. The Democrats, 8 Democrats came over in order to work with Republicans in order to reopen the government. The Democrats had used this moment as a negotiating tactic to keep the government closed in order to focus on the ACH, the Obamacare premiums that are going to increase at the end of the year, and also to roll back some of the tax credits that the Republican government, the Trump administration decided to cut when it comes to that. The Democrats felt like this was their remaining stance that they had in order to create a resistance to the Trump administration and to what they did in particular around Obamacare, particularly as so many Americans already can't afford the price of insurance and the cost of insurance, and let alone to have their premiums go up. The Democrats took this opportunity as a leverage moment in order to advance this cause. The Democrats don't have lots of opportunities for leverage. When you think about the Republicans, they control the White House, the Oval Office. The Republicans also to control both chambers of Congress. And so when you control the trifecta, which is both chambers of Congress, and then you control the White House, it is difficult for the opposition party or the minority party to gain any traction. And in particular, when the majority party, i.e. the Republican Party, are so lock in step, right? Like they are lock in step. And President Trump, no matter how you feel about him, he has the ability to have a really great control over the Republican Party to get in line in order to pass his agenda and what it is that he wants. Even if you look at some of the appointments that he made to his cabinet, a lot of those individuals, and I want to be clear, a president has the privilege and the right to nominate whoever they want to nominate to be a part of their cabinet, be a part of their administration. But as a result, you can tell some of those candidates who got into the cabinet would have never passed what I would call a vet to typically, even on the Republican side, to be a part of a president's administration and part of a president's cabinet. And so as a result of that, what was happening, we can see that as a data point of how much lock in step the Republican Party is with President Trump. So with that being said, the Democrats didn't have much of anything in their toolkit in terms of resistance and really in terms of leverage in order to take a stance on a policy to advance things that they care about. And one of the things they care about is Obamacare and affordable health care. And so for them, they want to keep the government shut down as long as possible in order for that to go on. As a result, though, there was such a ripple effect for the government being shut down for the longest that we've ever seen the government being shut down in history. You saw air traffic controllers who are already overworked and underpaid being asked to come into work without any pay. You also saw TSA workers having, again, overworked and underpaid and having to be the front line to deal with the privileged American traveling set, be on the front lines of that and not being asked to come to work and then not being paid to come to work. And also, too, you have the incredible federal workforce that were furloughed, and then some have been threatened that they have also, too, not even some have been threatened, were actually terminated from their jobs, and then some were threatened to also to be terminated from the job. Then you also, too, look at SNAP benefits that were coming to an end because the runway of the money and the budget just ran out, right? And so the Democrats were facing an incredible uphill challenge to keep that party lock in step. The Democrats often, too, do not hold the line the way that they typically do. I was actually surprised that the Democrats held the line as long as they did. The Democrats, it's a big tent party. And so because it's a big tent party, it's hard to really wrangle the different constituencies within the Democratic Party to stay lock in step. So I was surprised they were able to stay in lock in step as long as they did. Also, too, I think that once the election happened last week, that was an indication for the Democratic Party that they were winning the narrative and that it was the Americans were on the Democrat side in terms of keeping the government shut down, but in the face of adversity and in the face of SNAP benefits having run out. We even saw challenges of last Friday. I talked about it on the Mike Muse show on Saturday and Sunday, where the district court told the federal government that they had to fund SNAP benefits. The Trump administration immediately appealed to the First Circuit Court. The Circuit Court pushed back and also too said that the Trump administration needs to fund the SNAP benefits. The Trump administration then appealed to the Supreme Court, to which at that time, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson issued a stay and kicked it back down to the circuit level for them to have time to rule on that opportunity. So we were still in limbo when we were with SNAP. Even into the Friday night, President Trump was threatening states that he would take action if they went forward and piecemeal the idea of adding and funding even partially their state SNAP benefits. So all that dynamics are at play. So these are all the factors that the Democrats were thinking about in their decisions for those 8 individuals in order to come together with the Republican Party in order to open the government. As a result, we saw them cave. Some would say negotiate, and some would say they did it on behalf of the American public. That has now split the Democratic Party in ways that I didn't see that these 8 Democrats should have saw coming. For the Democrats to have held the line as long as they did, that was rare. A lot of individuals thought the win that they happened on Tuesday would allow them to hold the line even more, to apply the pressure, because again, as we talked about in the MuseRoom, the idea of who's going to win the shutdown all came down to the battle of the narrative. And the Democrats were winning the narrative on placing the blame on the Republican Party. As a result of the Democrats caving, they now have removed their single leverage point of opportunity to really address the Affordable Health Care Act. Now, these 8 Democrats, to put their POV into perspective, they said, look, they were hearing calls from their constituencies, particularly Senator Tim Kaine, state of Virginia. A lot of federal workers and employees are in the state of Virginia. Tim Kaine said that he was getting calls from his constituents who were laid off and who were terminated, asking him to do something. A lot of other senators who came across the line to vote with the Republican Party were saying that the idea of SNAP benefits running out, and for those who are food insecure, they thought it was causing too much harm, right? And so they felt like it was important for them to reopen the government. They said as part of the negotiation, they were able to get the Republican Party to agree to a vote on Obamacare. With the Affordable Care Act vote, they felt like then they will be able to have the Republican Party go on record to vote either yes or no. More than likely, the Republican Party is going to vote no. They're very clear in the conversation, and the nuance of it, they say that the Republicans has given us the vote, but not guaranteed the outcome. The other dynamic is that they are going to have to do this all over again and come at the end of January when they're going to have to readdress the federal government too as well. So this was just temporary. So the question I have for you, I wanted to make sure that everyone had the full information, is do you guys support the Democrats caving? And do you support those 8 Democrats coming over and joining the Republican side to open up the government? So that's the first question I want to ask and kind of get the conversation going. I have a series of other questions that I want to ask you too as well. Do you support the Democratic Party caving and giving in to Republicans to open up the federal government? Just say yes or no, just to make things easy. Yes or no if you support the Democratic Party caving in for Republican Party to open up the government. Jay Vargas, you said exactly what's going to happen in January then. Exactly. All right, so some no's are coming in. Short Pay 30, you say no. It's Greco Mom. What's up? It's Greco Mom says no. Amy B over Instagram says no. Impossible to Love, no. Jay Vargas, you're saying no. SS326 says no. Arl Edwards, you say no. I'm a federal employee, expected. So I've continued to work with no pay. Dem should have stood firm. Aren't there options to fund SNAP and ATCs? Isn't ICE being paid? Redirect those funds. So to answer all those questions you have, bring him back up in a second. So to quickly answer what Arl Edwards is saying is that are there options to fund SNAP? That's what the states were intending to do. There's also 2 parts of the lawsuits when the judiciary was saying to fund. States were then trying to fund, but President Trump's administration said that he will penalize states if they were funded. ICE is actually being paid too as well. So that answers your question. All right, so we got some no's. Some no's are coming in. Teddy Lammy says no with an NAW. I appreciate the now. All right, Kat, we appreciate a good now. Daquan726 says no. Uh-oh, Kat, we see a yes. Shine, you say yes. Shine, if you don't mind, why do you say yes? All right, and T-Dig says indifferent only because people got to eat. Okay, that was fair. So I kind of want to get into that part. But Shine, if you can, just write why do you say yes? As Greco Mom says, what about states' rights? They can pay if they want to. No. Yes, they can, but there are moments where the federal government is in conjunction with the federal government in terms of certain aid and offsetting certain costs and different functionalities. And so there were things that President Trump could do that would penalize the states if they went forward to do the partial funding for the states when it comes to that. I actually want to hear the thing. All right. As Shine is preparing his answers on that one, the next question I will have for you is this is a sensitive question, right? I want to be very clear. It's a very sensitive question that I'm about to ask you. What weighted more, having ACH premiums go down or people being able to receive their SNAP benefits? What weighted more? Because that's really what it came down to, right? It came down to wanting the Obamacare premiums to go down. That's what the Democrats were holding the line for. Or did it weigh more for the SNAP beneficiaries to receive their payment? So in the comment section, just text SNAP or ACH. SNAP or ACA. Sorry, I've been saying ACH. I got money on my mind. That $5.99 sweater, I'm thinking about ACH payments. ACA, what mattered more? Joe says, I understand why they did it. The Dems were never going to win this. Republicans just don't care about people. I'm going to let that one be a standalone. All right, so let me know what happens with that one. What mattered more, SNAP or ACA? All right, SNAP for sure, SNAP for sure. All right, over on Snapstream, you guys are saying Snap for sure. Instagram, you guys seem to be a split bunch. You guys are saying Snap, ACA. Sorry, Amy, I've been saying ACH is ACA. ACA. A Driver says neither. A Driver over Instagram. Talk to us about why you say neither. Oh, this is actually interesting. Okay. Snap, R.L. Edwards says ACA, Snap, Snap, and ACA. All right. Well, listen, Kat and the rest of you, a lot of you saying you did not support the Democrats caving and voting with the Republican Party to open the government. But a lot of you, though, who said that SNAP mattered more than ACA. So if SNAP mattered more than ACA, wouldn't you then support those 8 Democrats from opening the government? I mean, that's just math and logic. Fight amongst yourselves. Let me know your thoughts on that, because I think that's interesting. If you would have said, a lot of you would have said ACA, then I can support you in the poll saying, you know, you support the, you don't agree with those Democrats who open the government. But if you're saying SNAP matters to you, then you should support the Democrats opening the government. Talk to me about why some of you split that vote. All right, Noreen Scott says ACA, this will have a longer term issue. There were other ways SNAP could be funded through the states. All right, Noreen, you came in hot with that one. All right. Cool Blue says kids are more vulnerable because they can't help themselves or ask to be here. They have to eat. All right. Let me see what Instagram is saying. Slice of Keisha says the community response was so strong to combat SNAP issues, communities won't be able to handle healthcare costs. Whoa, that's a really good point. I hope I'm saying your name right. Slice of Keisha. I love what you said. The community response was so strong to combat SNAP issues, community won't be able to handle healthcare. So what you're saying is that there was a coming together of communities, and then what Greco Mom is saying is that states could also too shoulder the brunt of that there would have been some community collective effort to support people. I think about food banks, but it's much more challenging. Communities can't come together to lower premiums. That was a really interesting nuanced take. I really appreciate what you did there on that one. This is why it gets a little nuanced. I kind of want to keep, like I said before, I actually want to hear from you guys because, you know, us talking heads and pundits who don't get out of DC very often. I just feel like they don't got what we got here at the MuseRoom, baby. I just want to be able to hear from you guys in particular. Let's see. There is something else. Essentially, he says, if it was SNAP, it would have happened weeks ago, but air traffic and the reduction in flights could actually cost money. Greco Mom, restate your comment again. I've lost you already. Sorry about that. But you're just saying, so then you're looking at it from a place of, so for you, essentially, it wasn't even about SNAP or ACA. For you, it was about safety when it comes to air traffic controllers and flight reductions. That's interesting. So you had, and that was over on Instagram, you had no interest in the SNAP or the ACA. All right. You guys have some really interesting thoughts here. All right. Let me give you guys another chance to redo this poll. With that being said, I want to ask again, in particular, those who supported SNAP, do you have a change of opinion now? Now that we talked out a little bit, and now there's some other voices in the room here, again, do you support the Democrats voting with Republicans to open the government? Yes or no? With this new context and new conversation we have, do you support the Democrats caving? Yes or no? And while we do that, he who thinks, what's up? He who thinks says pragmatic government versus standing on principles. When you're actually for the people, you lean towards a pragmatic governance. So he who thinks, you're saying that it was a pragmatic effort for the Democrats to have done that. Cool Blue Lee says, I am almost equally concerned about ACA. I agree with safety overall, though. Cool Blue, you can't be on the fence. You got to say one or the other. Cool Blue, you're too nuanced, Cool Blue. I'm going to hold you to it. All right. So, because Snap uses, okay, so Greco Mom says, no. I support the case of not accepting a deal. Okay. Let me see what, okay, so Instagram is still saying no, but Instagram is still no, but Instagram, you guys were for ACA. So yeah, oh no, that locks us up. So if you guys did that locks. So Instagram, you're holding the line. Instagram is holding the line. YouTube, I think you guys are a little bit perplexing. All right, Noreen is a still no for you. All right, it's still no. I still disagree with them caving. All right, YouTube. You guys are a little bit of an interesting bunch because for you guys, it was opposite. All right, Cool Blue. I still disagree with them caving. All right. Let me. So what I'm doing was I'm toggling back and forth because of how it does in StreamYard. I can't. Your comments doesn't come up in the StreamYard app, so I have to kind of toggle back over to Instagram. Essentially, it says, no, I think they caved because of air traffic. Born and raised in D.C., I live politics. They don't cave for SNAP or ACA. It was commerce. So essentially, you're saying it was all about the money and dynamics, and there was too much at stake with the air traffic and budgets and when it comes to that finances. Deontay Finch says, yes, Dems should have caved because it shows Republicans would not vote to extend ACA. So Deontay, what you're saying is that you appreciate them wanting to put the Republicans on record, if I'm understanding you right. Water Baby is supporting you, essentially, E. Water Baby. What's up, Water Baby? I've seen you in a while. She says, facts happened last time, too. It makes me even angry because their priorities are skewed. Hager Worldwide says, it's easier to find a way to support food needs. Healthcare is needed. That kind of goes up to the previous commenter. I'm going to need you guys to use your names next time. Who also said this about community could support, but community can't support healthcare subsidies. And Deontay says you can't have leverage over people who don't care. That's a hot take. You don't have leverage over people who don't say. Jorge, no, because now the whole shutdown was pointless. That's, I think, a very key point that a lot of what I've been hearing from a lot of Democrats is that they feel like they went through all this, the longest shutdown in history. People were working without getting paid. People were becoming more food insecure, having to stand in line for food banks. And then they cave and they give in. And then they don't really get anything that they were actually holding the line for. All right. I'm going to ask one more question. I'm going to move on. I agree with air traffic controllers was the main reason, but I chose SNAP based off the question and options given. All right. The next question, and I'm asking these off the cuff, so we didn't plan this out. So I'm trying to formulate the question so that I can get you guys to easy responses, yes or no. The next thing, before I do that, I want to give context to Republican Party versus Democrat Party, right? So what I've always enjoyed about the Republican Party is how great they are with staying on message. They are, I think, the best at often running campaigns. They often have really great, what we call bumper sticker messaging. It's easy, it's digestible, there's sound bites, right? You think about President Trump, right? Make America great again, right? Drain the swamp. They have these really simplistic taglines that they can really latch onto. A lot of their policy positions when they present it to the public is very simple. And I'm not saying that to be reductive, but very, very simple. Oftentimes, the Democrat Party, they have such a wider tent that they have to care about much more of a wide-ranging issues. And so as a result, it's really hard for the Democrats for them to really make their messages simplistic. And to have what we call these bumper sticker slogans and messaging. The other thing, too, is I think that the Democrats always pride themselves of being like the smartest in the room and having to show that they're the smartest in the room, in particular with policies. So they would do on their platforms and campaign platform, they would do a policy, they would do a subject. Let's say coffee cups, right? And the coffee cups, they will have like almost 5 different policy positions and 5 different ways to discuss this coffee cup, right? But that is, if you are a Democrat, those are the things that you love and you enjoy about the Democratic Party. That's always, I think, has been their downfall. The Republicans, I thought, has always been good with holding the line, being lock and step with individuals. It even goes to the idea of what we call quality of candidates. A lot of the candidates that we see in the Republican Party today would not have been in office underneath, let's say, the George W. Bush era, underneath the Senator John McCain era, even underneath the Mitt Romney era, right? They got to a point where they just were more interested in the R, right? Are you Republican? Good enough? We're going to run you, right? And so they've always been very lock and key. Their litmus test is much different than the Democrat litmus test. I'm not putting an attribution on it. I'm not saying it's good or bad, right? But those are just the different things when you think about the Democrats. I think what I view the election Tuesday results were the American public was appreciating the Democrats being in lock and step and holding the line when it came to that. So with that being said, the next question I have for you, do you have hope that the Democratic Party will be able to find a way to resist some of the future Trump administration policies? Or have you lost hope that the Democratic Party will be able to resist and find leverage points for their agenda to get off? So no hope or hope? Now that I gave some context on what that means to kind of hold the line, do you have hope or no hope coming in as a result of the Democrats caving and giving in? Hope or no hope? Hope that they can continuously find pathways to resistance for the Trump administration and finding ways to leverage, or no hope as a result of them caving in? Let me see. Take your time with that one. I'm just curious, give you something to think about over that one. Kevin G. Body, you say you have totally lost hope. Haggle World says Democratic marketing is challenging to reach a diverse crowd with equal relevance. Greco Mom says Tuesday made me a little hopeful, but I still feel like there will not be any more free and fair elections. KIS4 Kilo says no hope. Essentially, he says nuance. The Dems that caved are establishment Dems. Terry says hell yes. I like a good hell yes, Cat. We don't get too many hell yeses out here. Cool Blue Lee says I'm always hopeful. Okay. Studio Jones Design says no hope until they change leadership. Tell me more about that. Do you want leadership meaning Hakeem Jeffries' leadership needs to change or Chuck Schumer's leadership change? Tell me what you mean by leadership needs to change. Lisa says always hoping. All right. No. Ask again after midterm says. Cat, he put some qualifiers on there.
I like qualifiers.
Yeah. Joe says I have hope, but I don't think it will happen until we vote people out. All right. Vote people out like who? Give me some names. Democrats would need to message better, says Shine. I hope that they can, but I miss my paychecks. That's real. That's a real thing. I really do appreciate that. That's a real thing. A driver, I'm a little confused on my decision. Okay, a driver. Miss Tammy from Instagram says hope in some, but not all. Some Dems agree wholeheartedly with Trump. A Water Baby says initially I lost hope, but after this last election, I'm crossing fingers and renewing hope. Okay, Dante Dita says, I have no hope in them. They're always caving. They stay on the defense. They give up every leverage that we have. All right. You guys are active. Okay. Noreen says, not very hopeful. My hope is dwindling. All right. Studio Jones Design says, Chuck Schumer has to go. Chuck Schumer has to go, says Studio Jones Design. All right. Before we move on with that one, in the words of the great John Mason, nurture the hope of hope. All right. The next poll question I have for you guys: do you believe that the leadership of the Democratic Party needs to change? And by that, that means Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Minority Leader Chuck Schumer say no, both. And if it's just one, name the leader that needs to be changed. Right? So should both leaders be changed? So say both. If you like both of them, say no. And if one needs to go, which one is it? Right? He who thinks I agree, his name is probably Charles. Chuck is his name for friends. Y'all got some jokes today. All right. Okay. So you're saying Schumer needs to go. All right. Schumer needs to go. Water Baby says Hakeem had to go. I'm so sorry. No backbone. Yes to both of them needs to go. A driver says 1,000% both. Whoa. Both needs to go. Whoa. Okay. Schumer. Shad Bean says all of them. I feel like the Democrats are operating in the old way of doing things, while Republicans have moved forward and found ways around what used to be roadblocks to get things done. Schumer, all caps. Okay. Studio Joe design. You're not rocking with Schumer. Noted. All right. E who thinks Hakeem Jeffries and so both of them need to go. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. All right, leadership has been facing it towards 2012 would not be in the same position. Both need to go. Not much leadership from neither. Whoever came with the votes needs to stay. This is interesting. Kat, did you find? I find this a little bit interesting. I would have thought that it would have been one needs to go and one can stay. We seem to be getting a snap results of
new people are clued into the nuance.
The new people meaning the new potential leaderships, or new people as new people are new to politics?
How it works in terms of them staying and leaving.
So people are new to politics.
Right.
Okay.
We're finally understanding like.
So Kat raised an interesting conversation of nuance. She says, is it easier to say they both need to go because not understanding the role that both are able to play and understanding the chamber of the House in terms of like whipping the votes, and actually too, what power that they do have, being that they are in the minority position? I think that's an interesting point of nuance to this conversation. Joe says, both of them, we need leaders that think about the long game. Someone should have known that this could happen, have a plan to navigate it. Okay, we're getting into some deep stuff here. I think the topic of term limits should come up soon. All right. Kevin Body says both are I'm not going to read the negative ones, folks. All right. They are playing the right game anymore, so it doesn't matter what role they play. All right. So I think this is interesting. I think I want to leave it there for now because we can keep going with this, but this is making me think about another topic for next week when it comes to understanding what it is. This is what I'm gonna do next week. Let me know what you guys think thoughts are on this.
I was thinking by next week there's a lot more at stake. By next week we're gonna have Epstein.
Yeah.
And some of this was Schumer's way. There's two things that haven't been mentioned. Mm-hmm. Some of this was we're not putting Republicans on the record if they vote against ACA. Mm-hmm. Which wouldn't have happened before. So
we did talk about that. So Kat just mentioned before you couldn't hear. Kat mentioned that this is about bringing people on record when they vote against ACA. So we talked about that,
and also opening it up and swearing in 218. Now let's the Epstein files come out, which we're seeing the leaks today.
Yeah, and then the other part is now the congressional members will be sworn in. That would give the Democrats enough votes in order to release the Epstein files. So there's a play about that. But I do think next week, even if the conversation does change, what I do want to talk about, because we like to do class here and instructions, I do want to talk about understanding and navigating both chambers of the House and what the role of both chambers of the House are, in the sense of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and then really understanding what the role of the Speaker of the House is and the Minority Leader, and also to the Senate Majority Leader and Senate Minority Leader, because they all function differently depending upon who is in the majority and who's in the minority. And with this audience, you guys are very active and informed, so it's not like we need to teach you to bring up the speed on that. I just want to just touch on that, because really what I want to go to is, do we care anymore about procedure? Do we care anymore about strategy? Or is it just now about the power of the narrative? And are we getting into how leaders make you feel? Right? And I think that is honestly what we're going to see in terms of what quality of candidates look like going forward, and how campaigns are run going forward, in particular within the midterms. Studio Jones says, give us homework. What do you guys think about that? I think there's a lot of nuance to unpack that, because look, we're going into a new era. We're going into a new era of campaigning. We're going to a new era of politics. We're going into a new era where I don't know if people hold true the needs of procedural strategies and tactics. I don't know if a lot of Americans care to get too deep into the weeds. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I don't know, right? And so I think this is why I love talking to you guys, because of how engaged you guys are about it and what you guys are thinking about this. I am giving you homework. I am. And what I want to do is I want to take a moment right now, because we finally have the email address that Kat is going to pull up pretty soon. And in the email address, I want you guys, this is what I'm going to do. I want you guys to email me. So you can put your name, email me and then include your name. Email me, tell me your first and last name and where you're from. And then what we're going to do is we're going to collect your email address, and I'm going to add you guys to a very special email distribution list where we can communicate when we're not here in the MuseRoom. So then that way I want to send you guys like 2 articles by next week so we can read together. And so that we can kind of get into this conversation, because I really do want to pull apart this procedural thing, because there is this traditionalist, I'm not going to say old guard, because I don't want to put ageism, and I don't want to talk about like term limits per se, but there is, let's say, this traditional guard of politicos who do believe in structure, who do believe in procedure, who do believe in tactics, who do hold the line of living their votes. But then there also is this new guard that's coming in that doesn't move them. But what they want is immediate reaction. We talked about this in one of our earlier MuseRoom shows, this idea of tribalism and cult of personality, and how people are made to feel, right, in groupings. And so email us again, if you don't mind, Kat putting back up. Email us at themikemuseroom@gmail.com. It's a funky email. Somebody took the MuseRoom. Who has a MuseRoom? Who's doing the MuseRoom? So we had to come up with all these funky concoctions. So it's the Mike MuseRoom. So email us in Instagram. I'm going to put it in. Kat, are you able to put it in Instagram chat?
Yes.
Instagram. We're going to put it in into
under Cat Mac.
Okay, we'll come to Cat Mac. Just put the Mike MuseRoom. Again, just email, put your first, last name, where you're from, because that way.
It's actually on the screen.
Oh, it's on the screen. Oh, perfect. Instagram, you should see it. So get the email, the MikeMuseRoom@gmail.com. Email me again, your first name, your last name, and make sure it's the email address that you're comfortable receiving information from. Don't worry, I'm not going to spam you. You're not going to get tons of emails. You're probably going to get 1 or 2 emails per week. Probably 1 email.
Tell them to make the subject line homework.
Yeah, make the subject line homework, right? That Kat just said something interesting. Make the subject line homework. And that way it kind of helps us get into a rhythm of situation. We don't have to go back and forth or anything like that. Because I do want us to read an article that we can talk about it next week. So I really do want to get deep dive into, I enjoy how we have a 2-way conversation that's instructive. I learn from you guys. I hope you're learning from me. I love hearing from you. And I love this community that we're building from the ground up. And I really want us to do that. The newsletter is out. It came out this morning. I am going to switch over to Substack too, by the way. This is getting too promotionally. I don't feel too comfortable right now, but I am going to switch over to Substack for the newsletter so that more people can kind of get into it. But so that is coming down there. Yeah, Nareem, man, somebody took the MuseRoom. So shady. Make the subject the MuseRoom. All right. Moving topics here. And I think it's an interesting topic to really think about is gambling. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because we're running out of time actually, but I want to talk about gambling and where we are in the sports world with gambling. You guys are up to date. I don't want to rehash too much, but you guys already know what happened with Chauncey Billups and that situation that we saw. That was more so with the poker ring associated with the mafia. Still can't believe the mafia is active as they are right now in 2025. I digress. But we also saw other basketball players involved in making prop bets on games that they played in, allegedly. Both of these things are allegedly. But also, too, we saw recently with the MLB with the two pitchers who are also too involved in micro bets, which is different than prop bets. I'll explain that really briefly. And there's this idea they allegedly they were indicted for throwing pitches to the ground in order for people, allegedly their co-conspirators, to profit off of these micro bets, right? So now you're up to speed on that. I want to explain the difference between micro bets and prop bets, and then I want to get into the conversation and see what your thoughts are on this one. Prop bets you are essentially voting on a singular event and not on the outcome of the game. So you're making a bet, let's say, on John Doe not coming in under 10 rebounds. So you're betting that John Doe won't get 10 rebounds that game. That's considered a prop bet. You're also thinking that maybe John Doe will score under 10 points today, right? That's a prop bet. So the difference between a micro bet to use a pitcher, these are easiest examples to use, a basketball player and a pitcher. The pitcher would throw a ball under 80 miles per hour. The pitcher would throw the ball into the dirt, right? Prop bets are in totality over the game, right? So from first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, what is the culmination over 4 quarters? Did they get under 4 bets? You place that bet before the game starts, and then you get your winnings. You determine if you win or lose in the game. A micro bet happens in real time while the game is actually going on, right? So you're betting on whether or not that pitcher is going to throw under 80 miles per hour, if the next pitch is going to be into the dirt. The other difference is that micro betting involves a singular person. Only the pitcher can determine the outcome. When it comes to prop betting, there's more than one person could be in collaboration to determine the outcome of the prop bet, right? So as another player, another action needs to be done, but it doesn't take a singular action in the way that a pitcher does. All right, so now we have an understanding of prop bets. Now we have an understanding of micro betting. And then just because I'm having fun with this and I want to make you the smartest political observers in the world, you have a parlay. You heard the parlay. That's important because MLB has eliminated the parlay, and they put a cap on how much a micro bet can be. A parlay basically is think of parlay as a bundle, right? You guys see these cable commercials. You get like your cable, your Wi-Fi, and your cell phone service for like $99. It's a bundle, right? But those 3 things: there's a cable, there's a Wi-Fi, there's a cell service. Think of a parlay as a bundle. A parlay is essentially, I'm going to bet that the Lakers win, I'm going to bet that the Eagles win, and I'm going to bet that the Dodgers win, right? If all 3 of those win, it's a multiplier, right? So I'm making numbers up here, folks. So instead of like you winning $5 on the Lakers, $5 on the Eagles, $5 on the Dodgers, that's $15. If you bundle those into a parlay, you can win $1,000, right? So it's a multiplier, right? So that's a parlay. And so what they're saying is that the MLB in particular is that they're limiting a micro bet to a certain dollar amount, and you can't put micro bets into a parlay, right? You can put anything into a parlay, right? So it's just a bundle. That's just an easy example to use. It's a bundle. All right. With that being said, I don't think, folks, that we are really addressing, I think we are overlooking these ideas, because I keep hearing this narrative of, one, that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you. Let me know, yes or no. We keep saying these dynamics of, we need to, how can these players, they make all this money, how can they bet, right? How can they just bet to get $1,000, right? And I don't want to be reductive, because $1,000 is a lot of money. I'm paying $400 for a flight to get a sweater for $5. So I'll be very clear. It all comes back to my sweater, folks. And if you missed the beginning of this conversation, you're joining us midway, you played yourself, because there's deals for sweaters for $5 out there. I digress. So $1,000, right? But in the grand scheme of things, they're making so much money, right? Like Chauncey Billups, over his career as a player and a coach, has made over $100 million. Huh?
That's where the mob comes in.
That's when the mob comes in, right?
You owe the mob, and so
you owe the mob. You might need to pay back some things, allegedly. We don't want the MuseRoom getting sued. We just getting off the races here. I still don't know how to work the mute button yet. Right, I don't want nobody swim me yet. There's something about, we need to be mindful of the psychology of betting and gambling. And it's time that we have a serious conversation in society, because gambling is so easy now. It's so pervasive, and it's so easy at the click of a button. The leagues don't want to disavow these gambling operators like FanDuel and DraftKings, because it helps grow their sport. If you are a fan of sports and you like to bet, you betting is going to keep you even more sticky to watching football all day Sunday, right? Because now you may do some fantasy football, right? If you're a baseball lover, you're going to watch all the baseball games because you're betting on the game too. So you have an intrinsic interest that's keeping you motivated. Let's say you don't care about sports, but you like to gamble. If you gamble, you're going to bet on these prop bets and micro bets, and you're going to watch NFL all day because you like to gamble and you're winning, right? The third, or losing, right? And the third one is you're just a casual observer of either one. But if you're betting, it makes you more of an engaged. So it builds our audience, it grows our audience, it gets to views, they get to charge more advertising dollars for FanDuel and DraftKings and other gambling operators for them to happen, for it to do that. That's number one. In terms of growth, which is why we won't see these betting, gambling operators ever go away. The second thing is the psychology of it, is because these players, it's an endorphin hit, right? Like when you win a game, that's an endorphin hit for you, right? It's all about controlling the outcome. When you can control the outcome of something, that's an endorphin hit, right? Gambling is an endorphin hit. That's what makes it an addictive personality. You're chasing that win, right? Like you're chasing to get 21 on blackjack, right? I actually think that for these players, it's more of an endorphin hit for them to be able to control the outcome of a game. I think there's some power psychologically they're receiving from that. And so that is what these leagues need to address. And I think this is when you have to start figuring out what guardrails and regulations, I don't want to use the R word here, what regulations need to be put in place in order to try and blunt the impact of that psychological hit of control and power, right? And what does that mean and what does that look like? I'm going to actually go further. I don't know any of this information, but I'm also too wondering with these MLB players, when they were sending money back home to the Dominican Republic, is it to help a family? Is it to help a friend, right? And maybe we grew up together, we came up together, I always said I'm going to take care of you when things happen. I don't know. I'm making a narrative up here, but this is why it isn't binary. This is why it isn't as simple as saying they're rich. Why are they doing this? Because if we say just they're rich, why they're doing this, we are eliminating opportunities to solve for something, right? We're eliminating opportunities to solve for the psychological dynamic and the controlling of the game and what regulation needs to be there. I want to be very clear with the limited time I have remaining with you all. That's never said I don't want to keep you. I always want to leave you at 2:00 Eastern Standard Time, is that I support gambling being legal, because when it was in the shadows, it's harder to control, right? It's harder to regulate. And that's when bad things happen. When things are in the dark and under the table, bad things happen. So if you bring it to the light, were able to regulate it. So they brought it to the light. We didn't know how far it was going to go, and we didn't know how easy it was going to be because of technology to do it. So now we know how easy and how far it's gone. Now is actually the time to be solution oriented, to pivot back and moderate it to the center. How can we still make it accessible? How can we still regulate it? But then how can we put things in place and control that doesn't allow people's egos, temperament, and addictive personalities and power dynamic to overtake and overcompensate, right? So these are the things I wanted to leave you with today as we think about it. And with the Muse movement is always going to be this gambling. We want to do a gambling hotline today because this is a real issue. There are a lot of people who are addicted to it. So if you are struggling, if you know anyone that is struggling, many states have gambling helplines and other assistance, but the national helpline is available at 1-800-662-HELP. And we're going to put it on the screen right now. 1-800-662-HELP. If you're experiencing anything, or if you want to pass this on to anyone who you know may have a gambling problem. Y'all, this was too much fun today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Y'all don't know how much I needed you guys. I think more. It was a tough morning and challenging morning for me today. And so, but I was so looking forward to this, and you guys did not disappoint. Your engagement, your enthusiasm, it means so much. It has uplifted my day. It's going to be a challenging day ahead, but you have uplifted my day, and you helped give me purpose for this one. So I just love y'all so much, and just thank y'all for rocking with me. And TJ Diggs says, now back to that sweater. All right, everybody. I love you all so much. You guys have such a great day today. Enjoy your Wednesdays. Don't forget to email us, subject line homework, and then we'll do some things, and we'll rock out tomorrow, y'all. I love y'all so much. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Peace.